10 NFL preview with the Rams and 49ers, the Patriots and Buccaneers, and more. Hi, welcome to the Schatz and NFL podcast from FTN Fantasy for Thursday, November 6th, 2025. I am Aaron Schatz. You know me as the DVOA guy from FTN Fantasy, and he is not Mike Tanier. Mike is on vacation today, so I'm joined by our very own Bryan Knowles, who you know from writing plenty at FTN Fantasy on the stats page and writing for the FTN Football Almanac and all kinds of other good stuff. Welcome, Bryan.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you here. We're going to talk about your 49ers in a little bit. We're going to talk about the Ravens and the Vikings, Jaguars and Texans, Chargers and Steelers, Patriots and Bucks. We also take your questions and comments. If you're watching us live, we do this at 11 a.m. on Mondays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. So on YouTube, we take comments. But first, I need to let you know that the FTN Fantasy Schatz and NFL podcast is sponsored by our friends at Underdog. Underdog is available in 40 states, Washington, D.C., and Canada. And it is the easiest place to make picks on your favorite player stats and win cash prizes using the information from this show. Play your first $5 on Underdog and get up to $100 in bonus funds or entries when you sign up with the code FTN. Terms apply, and as always, please play responsibly. We'll start with the 3-5 Falcons at the 7-2 Colts. That is the 9 a.m. game. We're skipping the Thursday night game. Sorry, Raiders, but you are not good. So Falcons at Colts. Falcons make the playoffs 22% of the time with a win, 7% with a loss. Colts are at 97% with a win, 90% with a loss. This game is actually a little less important to them because it's a non-conference game, and what really matters for the Colts at this point is getting the 1 seed. Michael Allen Brewer asks, are there any examples of quarterback accuracy improving with experience? Asking for a franchise quarterback, in other words, Penix. And Michael Allen Brewer also points out that his age limits his growth potential. I mean, the best example of a quarterback improving accuracy is Josh Allen.
Right. The answer was always, oh, no, that's possible. No one ever improves their accuracy. And then Josh Allen became Josh Allen. Now we have to say most quarterbacks don't improve their accuracy. Most quarterbacks don't get suddenly better once they're in the pros.
Right. My feeling is most quarterbacks are like Anthony Richardson, which is you want them to be Josh Allen, and then they are very disappointingly not. So whether Penix can improve his accuracy, the fact that he's a little older, I think matters a little bit also. Certainly going to the game on Sunday, being at Gillette Stadium, my biggest takeaway from that game was, look at Penix, miss guys. Like, does it a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, by FTN's charting, he misses the most targets that are open, like 12% of his misses are uncatchable passes when his target was open. That's more than any other quarterback in the league. That is not what you want out of your second-year quarterback. A little bit of scattershotness can be expected because he didn't play much last year, but he's just he's just not consistent enough on a down-to-down basis.
Now the thing is, he'll miss guys by a little bit, and Drake London is good enough to catch that anyway.
Right,
and that's what happened against the Patriots, was that they almost won the game because Penix would miss, and Drake London was so good that he would catch it anyway. And they also had this great rub at the goal line where they would get Drake London away from Christian Gonzalez and onto Marcus Jones, who's much shorter. And then Drake was just like, hello, ding, right, ball out of the air. Now, what's interesting about this matchup is the Colts have had a schematic thing. It's not a corner. It's not a specific corner. It's a schematic thing all year where they have destroyed number 1 receivers while number 2s walk all over them. DK Metcalf had 6 yards last week against the Colts. 6. And the Colts lost.
Right.
Because, that lot of good that did them. Now they have Sauce Gardner, who is in concussion protocol, but it sounds like he'll be out of it and playing. So now I would think that they're against the number 1 receivers. It's interesting. They can either now use Sauce on the 2 and continue to do whatever they're schematically doing against the 1, or really put Sauce on the 1 and really shut that guy down. So Penix is going to have to find his other guys, not Drake London.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, Gardner is a full participant in practice. It looks like he's going to be ready to go. Getting one of those rare playing in 3 countries in 1 year seasons that might become more common as the NFL continues to expand. I would think you would want to ease him in just because it's a new scheme, a new system. But at a certain point, like,
if you're going to ask him to do some complicated zone coverages, yes. If you're going to have certain snaps where you're like, there you go, Drake London,
yes,
then you don't really need to ease him in.
No, adding Gardner to the secondary it's a bold move. Certainly, you've been 2 first-round picks for him, but I love the addition.
I feel like it's an interesting. It is both too rich and the right move.
Yeah,
because I don't remember who exactly said this, but this is a year where Mahomes and Allen are down a little bit. And if there was ever a year to go for it in the AFC, this is it.
And remember, he's under contract through 2030. His extension doesn't kick in for 2 more years.
Right. So they've got him for a while.
Yeah. Normally, when you trade
he's very expensive.
Yeah. Well, normally when you trade 2 first-round picks for someone, you have to then give him a record-setting extension because otherwise you've just traded 2 first-round picks for someone who's leaving in 2 years. The fact that Gardner will be on the team for the rest of the decade does help make that cost make it a little more worthwhile.
I have to look up for a second here. Hold on. Fraser Lamont says Falcons' best chance seems to be with Bijan Robinson. How does the Falcons' offense look against the rushing defense of the Colts? So I didn't write that down. So I'm going to look up right now where the Colts rank in run defense. I think they're kind of average.
Yeah. And the Falcons' best chance is often with Bijan Robinson. He's very good. He had that off week 2 weeks ago, but he's still right up there on pace to have one of the best running back receiving seasons ever. He has been a godsend for Penix as the your check down option. When you're inaccurate, one of the best things you can have is have that short yardage receiver out there, and Robinson is doing great at it.
Colts are 11th against the run. They have some edge rusher issues with Samson Ebukam and Tyquan Lewis missing practice, and also Kenny Moore didn't practice with an Achilles injury, and Michael Pittman has a glute injury, but he sounds fine. The Falcons have some guard questions, but otherwise seem to be pretty healthy.
Yeah, both Chris Lindstrom and Matthew Bergeron not practicing yesterday. That's something to keep an eye on. If they're missing half their offensive line, that's going to be a pretty tough one for them.
See, the running back that I think is going to have the big game is Jonathan Taylor. The Colts are 2nd rushing, and the Falcons are 24th in run defense.
Right. And Taylor's been the most explosive back in the league this year. That's not going to go well, I think.
The other interesting thing is going to be pressure. So Jones is the number 1 quarterback in DVOA against pressure, and he still is. Mm-hmm. But the last 2 weeks, minus 126% DVOA against pressure, which is particularly bad, actually. Yeah. That sounds bad but every quarterback generally is negative against pressure. That's a really bad against pressure, but it's only 2 games. But if he sort of turned back into Daniel Jones against pressure, that's a problem. That was the thing that was really making the Colts offense work, was that he was beating pressure. And so, but the Falcons will bring pressure, but they'll need to blitz. They're not necessarily bringing it with just 4 this year, even though Jalen Walker looks pretty good, the 11th overall pick. We'll see.
Yeah. And he wasn't just good under pressure. He was like on pace to set records in our charting good under pressure. Jones, it was insanely good. And I'm not surprised that it's come down. I'm surprised it came down quite so quickly and quite so abruptly, but there was no way that was continuing for the full season.
The line is Colts -6 at last time that I checked, and I do like the Colts. It's in Germany, so no home field advantage, but I think still like the Colts to cover the line.
Yeah, I don't trust Penix to do much against the Colts defense. I am concerned about their offensive line injuries. I think the Colts are going to win this one fairly comfortably.
Yeah, a good rebound after last week's problem.
If not, then the questions will really start about keeping Daniel Jones in there.
Yeah. All right. Best of the 1 p.m. games. Crazy to say this about the Patriots, but hi, welcome to the Patriots, 7-2. at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6-2. Patriots make the playoffs 96% of the time when they win, 84% when they lose. Buccaneers 95 when they win, 85 when they lose. So these teams are probably making the playoffs no matter who wins this game, but it is a really important Patriots test of playing a real team. They only have 3 games in their last 8 against above average teams, and that is this game and then the Bills and the Ravens.
Yeah, it's nice to welcome the Patriots to an NFL schedule at this point in time. It's been a nice test, especially for the defense. The offense looks good, and I think they would look good against almost anyone. Seeing the defense try to cover, try to stop Baker Mayfield and cover these receivers is going to be it's going to be very telling about how much we should really believe in them going forward.
Yeah, their defense has not. That is the unit where the schedule has really mattered, because I think Patriots fans think they have a good defense. And once you adjust for the opponent, what they have is a good run defense. They don't have a good pass defense because the coverage, Christian Gonzalez, now that he's fully healthy, is great. Carlton Davis is good. Marcus Jones, despite winning Defensive Player of the Month, does not have great coverage numbers. The linebackers have been a problem in coverage, the safeties. And that's interesting because the Bucs have run a lot more 12 personnel over the last few weeks. And the Patriots are 28th. I don't have a DVOA number, but I do have an EPA number, EPA per dropback against 12 personnel. They are missing Godwin. Hitchhiker's Pie points out they're missing Godwin and others, so they're going to be weaker. There's no Mike Evans. There's no Godwin. There's no Bucky Irving. On the defensive side of the ball, it looks like they will be without Hassan Reddick. And then there's some interesting matchups. The Patriots have given up 6.8 yards per play in man, which is 30th in the league. But Baker Mayfield has only 4.0 yards per play against man this year, minus 35% DVOA. That is the effect of the Godwin and Evans injuries right there. And with Gonzalez back, you would have to think the Patriots can play a lot more man in this game.
Absolutely. That is, I am surprised the split is that stark. But yeah, I mean, when you're down to your 3rd, 4th, 5th receivers, you're going to have trouble beating people deep. It makes sense, but.
Fraser Lamont, by the way, says, is it stupid of me to think the Patriots only finish 11-6, despite having the easiest strength of schedule by DVOA for the rest of the year? It's not out of the range of possibilities. I think 12-5 is more likely. I think you pencil in a loss to the Ravens and a loss to the Bills, and then you figure that either they lose this game or they randomly lose one of the other games, and then that's 5.
Right, and then the question will be where do the Bills end up? There, I could see them both ending in that 11, 12, 13 win range. And then
yes, and
the tiebreakers.
The Patriots have the head-to-head tiebreaker, but the Bills have all the other tiebreakers.
Right.
So if they end up splitting, if they lose to the Bills, that's the most important game of the year. Frankly, that's the most important game of the year for both teams, is when they play each other. If the Patriots win that, they basically win the division.
Imagine saying that 3 months ago.
The Baker Mayfield is also terrible against the blitz. And the Patriots really need to blitz. They're not bringing a lot of pass pressure with just like Harold Landry and as good as Williams and Barmore are in the middle. Baker Mayfield minus 35% DVOA against the blitz, 5.3 yards per attempt. Meanwhile, if you flip it around, the Bucs love to blitz. And the best quarterback in the league this year against the blitz is Jared Goff. But the second best quarterback in the league against the blitz is Drake May.
We'll take that. I know that May has taken a bunch of sacks, but
mostly against 4.
Yeah.
That's it. When you rush him and get pressure with 4, he's 25th in DVOA. So you have to get the pressure with just 4, and there is no Hassan Reddick.
Yes, that's good. That's going to be tough for them. I am. It's tough with May because it's been so long since the Patriots had just a good quarterback that a lot of Patriots fans have forgotten how to talk about having.
I mean, you mean as opposed to the greatest quarterback of all time,
exactly,
or a bad quarterback.
Exactly. That I see fans go out there and like say, well, May's been the best quarterback in the year by all these stats, and I was like, no, he's been very good. He's been impressive, and he's not sitting there on just taking advantage of that easy schedule. With a little bit of like, okay, just I'm waiting for him to have just an average game to calm down a little bit of the hype that's going on around him.
Yeah, I don't think it's this game though, because of the way the matchups work. I think I did Andrew Callahan's podcast for the Patriots, and I said I think the Ravens is the game where they get the big wake up.
That would make a lot
more
sense.
We'll talk about the Ravens in a minute. They're playing much better on defense. Their offense obviously is awesome. The Bills, they're obviously going to be very well up for, very prepared. I think if there's a game where they have a big letdown, it's Baltimore. Back to this game, I think both teams are going to have trouble running. The Bucs run defense is very good. We know Vita Vea is right in the middle of that sucker. Patriots running game is up to 27th, but still bad. And Ramondre Stevenson still having a toe injury, missing practices. And then if you flip it around to the other side, the Patriots are much better against the run than they are the pass. The line is Bucs minus 2.5.
Now coming in, I would like the Bucs here. I think with the matchups, you convinced me to swing the other way and take the take the Patriots and the points.
I think if I had to bet this straight up, I would take the Bucs.
Right.
But with the points, I like the Patriots.
Yeah, this is just going to be the most fascinating matchup of the week. It's going to be. It has so much to do with all the seeding battles out there with the Patriots still fighting with the Colts and the Bills. It's going to be. This is the one I'm really looking forward to, the morning matchup.
Fraser Lamont asks, do we still have the Colts as the projected 1 seed after last week? I favor the Bills now with the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, and I believe that we have the Bills as the most likely 1 seed now.
I don't think that tiebreaker over the Chiefs is going to matter if we're talking about the number 1 seed. They're currently not in the playoff picture at all, and I'm not sure they're going to catch the Chargers. I mean, they still are.
We have the Broncos. Yeah. I think we have the Broncos winning that division like 55% of the time.
Yeah. And I know the Chiefs are. I think they're second in DVOA at the moment. We all expect them to eventually get into the playoffs at the end. But halfway through the season, they're not in yet. So I don't think that tiebreaker of the Chiefs is going to end up doing much if you're talking about that number 1 seed race.
Sergio asked about a team that we weren't going to be talking about much, which was the Bears. He says, is Caleb Williams just getting lucky, or is he actually playing well? The eye test says the former. But it's hard to stay on that train when the numbers are pretty good after 9 weeks. I believe that if you look at the last few weeks, he's been good, but also he's been doing it against an easy schedule.
Yeah. He's been playing better, he's made strides, which is what you want to see from a quarterback in year 2. He is not a finished project yet. He needs to make more strides, but I think Bears fans can be at least somewhat happy with the steps forward that he's made. That he hasn't looked lost in Ben Johnson's offense. He's much more calm and collected than he was last year when they were just kind of making stuff up as they were going along. It's good progress.
Frankly, nobody this year should have the discussion of, is this quarterback really good the week after they play the Bengals?
Yes. I mean, that might be MVP number one this year. Whoever the net total of the quarterback against the Bengals. That person, that mythical person, is your MVP for 2025.
All right, another 1 p.m. game is the 5-3 Jaguars at the 3-5 Texans. Jaguars make the playoffs 73% if they win, 43% if they lose. Texans are at 24% if they win, 5% if they lose, although the Texans are higher in DVOA than the Jaguars, 9th versus 17th. But Davis Mills will start for the Texans. The other injury that pretty concerning in this game, Brian Thomas with an ankle sprain might not play for the Jaguars. But that's and obviously Travis Hunter is out, but that's not as important as not having your starting quarterback.
No, I mean, it's never good to miss your starting quarterback, but to have him out in a divisional opponent but it's kind of a must-win game for Houston is just terrible timing. I mean, the internet tells me that CJ Stroud is horrible now, so I'm sure Davis Mills will do just fine, but it's been...
Well, their offensive line is still bad, but the Jaguars don't have a great pass rush. They have the 2 really good edges, but they don't have a great pass rush otherwise. Jaguars are 25th against tight ends, so this seems like a big Dalton Schultz game, especially because, we know backup quarterbacks and rookies love to depend on their tight ends.
Schultz is limited, but he looks like he's on pace to play, so everything should be fine there.
Bill Houston asks if we have thoughts on Jacoby Myers joining the already crowded wide receiver room? Well, the first thought is it's not as crowded if Travis Hunter's hurt, and we don't know how bad Travis Hunter's injured. They haven't said really how long he'll be out.
Right. I know everyone they feared it was a torn ACL and then said it wasn't. But I'm not expecting him back before December at the very earliest. I know there were some rumors that they were looking at people were making offers for Brian Thomas, and he's still there, but I don't think Myers moves the needle for me much for Jacksonville. I think it's a fine pickup, but I'm not. It doesn't excite me in any way. It's not like, oh, this is the piece they needed to move forward.
He's a good catcher of the football. Drops are pretty inconsistent, but Myers has always been very low in them. But when you look at the difficulty that Lawrence has had getting on the same page as his receivers, you're like, oh, now we're bringing in one mid-season.
Right.
Is it going to be the same problem getting on the same page?
Yeah, you see these drops happen year after year after year with different receiving core, different receiving core. You do have to wonder how much of this is Lawrence not throwing a very catchable ball, I suppose.
Jaguars will need to run the ball. They are 7th running, but 24th passing, and the Texans defense is 16th against the run and number 1 in basically every possible way against the pass.
Yeah, I mean, Myers not going to help against that. And with no Hunter and possibly no Brian Thomas, it's going to be a heavy running day.
This line started as Texans -1.5. It is now Jaguars -1 because the news, even though it's in Houston, because of the news of Stroud not playing due to the concussion. It's just really hard for me to pick the Texans as good as their defense is because of Mills.
Yeah, we've seen Davis Mills before. He's not someone. He's not a high prospect guy. He's not someone who you can have excitement about seeing what he can do. We've seen what Davis Mills can do, and that's probably loose to the Jaguars.
E-Dog the Big Dog says, is Lawrence the best bad quarterback or the worst good quarterback?
I would really love the internet to discover someday the concept of average.
Well, I mean, but if you want to put it that way, he's the worst good. Right? Yeah. If you separate quarterbacks into win with, win because of, and win despite, he is absolutely a win because of. But he's like the worst of the win because of. Either him or Kyler Murray.
See, I think he's more of a win with. I'm notoriously down on Lawrence. I think it's because there was so much hype for year after year after year. It's like I keep waiting to see it, and I've just never seen it.
Yeah, well, Ravens 3-5 at Vikings 4-4. It's another 1:00 game. Ravens make the playoffs 55% with a win, 33% with a loss. Vikings 18% with a win, and 6% with a loss. The big stat here is the Ravens defense. Weeks 1-5, plus 13% DVOA. Then they traded for Alohi Gilman. Weeks 6-9. This is only 3 games, but minus 19%.
And part of something that is that the Ravens injury report currently is empty. All players on the 50-man roster healthy and practicing. No one even limited. I cannot remember the last time I saw that midway through a season.
Meanwhile, the Vikings, just looking at guys who didn't practice, Aaron Jones with a toe injury, Jeff Okudah with a concussion, Josh Oliver, their blocking tight end, who's really important to their running game, has a foot injury and was not practicing. Here's another fun split. Now, I have talked a lot about the idea that home road splits are not real.
Right.
That in general, over time, every team has the same home field advantage. But if you believe they're real, guess what? The Ravens on the road, 6th on offense and 10th on defense. At home, 19th on offense and 26th on defense.
Yeah, I mean,
that's more fun than it is meaningful.
Yes.
But it's fun. Vikings love to blitz. Lamar Jackson excels against the blitz. Not so much this year, but in 2024, certainly. Vikings love to play zone coverage. Lamar Jackson currently 4th in DVOA against zone coverage. Vikings 30th in DVOA against passes up the middle. Would you like to guess which qualifying quarterback is best passing up the middle?
Jared Goff.
It's actually Lamar Jackson. Goff has more value, but on a per-play basis, it is Lamar Jackson. Like all of the matchups, plus the injury report.
Yeah, this is
point to the Ravens winning this game.
This is a terrible, both a terrible matchup and a terrible timing for the matchup for Minnesota with all the injuries and everything going on. like 3 weeks ago. Like this would have been a very competitive game. I thought I think the Vikings might have come out on top of that, but everyone's back for Baltimore. And they're beginning to look like the team we thought they would be.
If the way that everything points towards the Ravens in this game, if this was the playoffs, I would be like, I completely subjectively feel like they're going to lose.
Of course, right.
But in the regular season, I think they win this easily.
Yeah, I think it's a 4.5 point line last time I checked.
Ravens by 4.
Yeah, I hammer that all day long.
Let's go to the 4 p.m. game. Some of the nation is getting Detroit and Washington, but the majority of the nation is getting the 6-2 Rams at the 6-3 49ers. Rams, 96% of the time, if they win, make the playoffs. 82% with a loss. They also, by the way, make the Super Bowl 25% with a win and 15% with a loss. The 49ers are a little lower. 90% of the time they make the playoffs with a win, 68% with a loss. And they're not really in the Super Bowl picture very much because they are only 15th in DVOA.
Right. They are fortunate to be where they are. It's impressive what they managed to do despite all the injuries, but they do not have the horses that some of these other teams have, especially with, they've lost a starter with a multi-week injury every single week of the season so far.
Yes, Michael Williams is the latest, the rookie edge rusher. And of course, Brock Purdy still with the toe injury. They say he is, quote unquote, increasing his first team reps, but I believe Mac Jones will probably be starting this game.
Yeah, Purdy was limited yesterday. It does seem that's leaning towards Jones. We haven't heard for sure yet. And he is getting more work every week. But it's the same story every week. Will Purdy be back this week? Maybe not. Will Pierce all be back this week? Probably not. Is Ayuk's window open yet? No, it isn't. All right, we'll just keep hanging on. One more week. We'll see. We'll be here at the same time next week, and we'll see what happens.
The Rams have receiver issues. Puka Nacua was limited in practice with a chest injury, but it sounds like he's going to play.
Yeah, they seem confident he'll be there. That'll be helpful.
Tutu Atwell is on the IR, and Jordan Whittington missed practice with a back injury. So if Puka doesn't play, the depth is really a problem.
Right. I would expect Puka to play in this one. This is everything seems to be trending towards that. The Rams also have kicker problems. They're having an in-season kicker competition this week in practice.
Yeah, if you take out the week 1 game where Moody sucked so bad, they're actually an average special teams unit.
The 49ers are right, yeah.
But yeah, they're still trying to figure out who's going to kick field goals for them.
Yeah, I believe Cardi is the worst kicker on field goals and extra points in our system at the moment.
The Rams kicker, Joshua Cardi,
Yeah, the Rams are having the kicker competition this year. They brought in the UFL guy, the thicker kicker. He has an actual
thicker kicker, yes.
Yeah,
it's not the 49ers. Sorry, yes, it's the Rams who are having the kicker competition.
Yeah, having he has an actual human being name, and I can't remember to save the life of me right now.
We'd like to apologize to the thicker kicker for not remembering what his name is.
Because he may well be the kicker this week. So
49ers 8th passing, but 23rd rushing. CMC is having real problems running the ball, getting space, even though as a receiver, he is on pace still to break Marshall Faulk's all-time record for receiving yards by a running back.
Yeah. The Niners are still the only team that has not had a 20-yard rush this season. They look better last week against the Giants, but the Giants' run defense is mostly theoretical at this point in time. So, it's trending better. They've looked better since George Kittle's been out there to block some. But yeah, it's just not been the same. It's not been the 49ers offense we've been used to seeing.
I also mentioned that Lamar Jackson led the league in DVOA on passes up the middle. The leader in value total, DYAR, is a shocker. It's Mac Jones.
Mac Jones has been pretty solid in reserve.
But the Rams are number 7 against passes up the middle. So that is a strength against strength matchup. Mac Jones has also been bad against pressure this year, but he hasn't felt a lot of it. Now here come the Rams with that quality young defensive line starring Jared Verse. I think that they can change that.
And the last matchup, remember, Jones got hurt mid-game against this pressure. He had that limping around with that knee injury that he's still suffering somewhat to this day.
The line is Rams -3.5. And even though the Rams are on the road, I think I like the Rams.
Yeah, I don't. The Niners were very fortunate to come with the win in week 3 or whatever it was. Their defense is now more gutted than it was back then. I mean, they've gotten a couple players back. George Kittle is going to be very important for that middle versus middle passing strength. But I don't think the Niners defense has the horses to slow the Rams down at the moment.
No, the Niners defense has been very bad since week 4, since the Bosa injury.
Yes, with both Bosa and Warner out. I mean, that was the idea, right? Bosa and Warner are your tent poles, on which all the young players can develop around, and they're both gone. So, fantastic.
Fraser Lamont wants to know if we can project the percentage of Sims where the NFC West winner wins the Super Bowl, whether it's the Rams or the Seahawks. And I probably can, but not while we're in the middle of doing the podcast. But I will point out that we love the Rams and Seahawks. Our numbers love these teams. Wrote this week, we have the Seahawks way higher than everyone else. We have the Rams basically tied for second with the Colts. The difference is 0.1%, which doesn't matter. So there's no question this is the strongest division in the game this year. And the Rams and Seahawks are both very serious Super Bowl contenders. Let's talk about the 8 p.m. game. That is the 5-3 Steelers at the 6-3 Chargers. This is the most important game of the week for playoff odds. Steelers, 81% with a win, 52% with a loss. Chargers, 70% with a win, 40% with a loss. Steelers are 10th in DVOA. Chargers are still 18th. The problem is the Chargers is somewhat depressed because of the games where they had the offensive line issues, except that every game for the rest of the season is now one of those games because Joe All is now done.
Yeah, missing 2 all-pro type offensive tackles is just a killer for them, to the point where, people are – Bobby Hart may still be starting for them at this point in time, which is – that's not a fate you wish on anybody.
Yeah. The other big injury for them, by the way, Tarheeb Still, who's been, really strong cornerback stats the last couple of years, missed week 9 with a knee injury, and I believe is still out of practice. For the Steelers, the big question is guard Isaac Seumalo with a pec injury. Also, Darnell Washington, the big third tight end. They use a lot of 12 and 13. He's the guy who's like 300 pounds, did not practice with a foot injury. The Chargers are, by the way, teams have not thrown much to tight ends, but they are 26th against tight ends. And the Steelers, again, use a lot of tight ends.
It's an Arthur Smith offense. You're going to see plenty of that going forward here in this one.
I also noted the Steelers are better running, while the Chargers are weaker in run defense. The Steelers' defense is also weaker against the run, like the Chargers' defense, but the Chargers are only 17th running the ball.
Right, and is Hampton still out? I know that the Chargers have had all kinds of running back problems this year as well. So,
is who still out?
Never mind. Braveheart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fraser Lamont says Steelers edge rushers against this offensive line seems like a dreadful matchup. It does. The Steelers are only 19th against deep passes, and Herbert excellent throwing deep. But in order to do that, he has to stay upright. Good luck.
Yeah, he's going to be running for his life all day long, and I think this is going to be a huge game for JJ Watt. I mean, for TJ Watt and all the pass rushers. It's just I don't see the Chargers being able to keep Herbert upright long enough to really attack.
Steelers are also, by the way, have a big advantage in this game in field position on kickoffs and punts.
Okay.
A lot of things point to the Steelers. The line is Chargers -3.
Yeah, no.
And the game is in LA. I got to think this is one of those games in LA where the visiting team fans outnumber the home team fans.
You'd expect that. I would take the Steelers straight up, but you can give me 3 points, and I'm very happy.
Yes, I'm Steelers +3, absolutely taking that. I think absolutely. Yep. All right, that does it for today, folks. We'll be back on Monday. Mike will be back, and we'll be previewing Eagles at Packers, which is the very good Monday night game this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Brian, for sitting in. Much appreciated. And don't forget to like and review the show and let your friends know about us and to watch us live. Again, we do 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube on Mondays and Thursdays. So we'll see you Monday. Until then, he's Bryan Knowles. I'm Aaron Schatz. So long, everybody, and enjoy the weekend of games.